Hi, everyone, and thank you for your interest in Play Streets and applying to host an event this year. We're excited to have you join us and learn a little bit more about the application process. But this is not the last chance to ask questions or hear from us. We'll share information later about how to contact us if you have questions. But we'll start with some background on the program, and then we'll also go through the application question by question. Wanted to start with introductions. I'm Ryan Johnson. I'm with Alta Planning and Design, and I am part of the consulting team hired by LADOT to manage the Play Streets program this year. And I will pass it to city staff to give an introduction. Start with Claire.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Claire Eberly. I'm with LADOT. Together with Wagenda, we lead the Open Streets and Play Streets programs for the City of Los Angeles Department of Transportation. We're excited to be here tonight to share this important program to us in our department, and are excited to see the applications that come in this year. I'll pass it over to Wagenda to introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Wagenda Chambeshi. Like Claire mentioned, I work with Claire on this Open Streets program, and we're just excited to have this program open for you all. And we are here just to help you understand the application process and here to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Claire and Wagenda. So we'll start off with a description of what Play Streets are and a little bit about the history of the program. So this has been around for a few years now. This is not the first cycle. There have been several events across the city. There was a round even during the pandemic where a few events were held in communities. And we now are expanding it citywide, and that's why we're having this big application process here, and we're really welcoming any groups or individuals to apply. And you can find out more about the program in general at the website at laplaystreets.com. But just in general, the vision of the program is to enable Angelenos in any neighborhood to temporarily close down their streets to cars and transform them into places for playing, learning, and having fun, getting to know your neighbors and new folks, and just creating a new way to use our public spaces. We are planning to hold 8 to 10 events this year through this application cycle, but there will likely be future events available in 2024 and possibly 2025, depending on funding availability. So I wanted to show a quick video to give a sample of what a Play Streets event looks like on the ground. And this is from our December 2022 event in Panorama City. It's about a minute long.
I'm just really excited this is here because I feel like Panorama deserves something like this. It deserves this and so much more. And typically, right, like this is the intention of repurposing our streets and having more intention with them, having music, vibes, food, supporting the community. I feel like this is what we should be hearing for.
Yeah, it's good for the community, and the kids get to enjoy it, know with their friends, and
I'm excited to be here and just shout out everyone that made this happen. And I hope this is just first out of many. So,
yeah, well, I hope that gives you a sample of what a Play Streets looks like in reality. That was a fairly elaborate event on the scale, but Play Streets can also be smaller. It could be, simply a block party with some neighbors. It does not have to have full programming like you saw in the video. And we can talk a little more about the different types of programming and partners in a bit. But I wanted to start with a quick summary of the application process itself. A key reminder here is that applications are due on Friday, March 24th. We will take all the applications that are received, and we will do some internal scoring ourselves and prioritize the top 8 or so, or 8 to 10 that will be held this year. But we will also keep all the other applications in the hopper for future cycles if funding does indeed become available. So the link to the application is here, but I assume many of you have received it in email. If you need that link, you can contact us and the information will be shared later for how to reach me. But at a high level, this is the application sections here. We have contact information so we can get in touch with you after you apply. We will look at the level of community need based on the points you receive on the map, which I will share in a moment. We'll also talk a little bit about partners that you may be able to work with on your event. We will touch on the location and how you can determine a proper street for a play street. And then we'll wrap up with a discussion of additional information that you can provide. So again, this is the key point we're looking at here is how folks score on a range of criteria that determine need. This is a program focused on neighborhoods that have the need for more park space or tree canopy. We'll also be factoring in scores for exposure to high injury network streets. That's determined by the number and severity of crashes involving people walking and biking in the city of Los Angeles. We'll also consider social and economic vulnerability, pollution exposure, disproportionate impacts from COVID-19, and population density in a certain neighborhood. So you can play around with the map and see where you would score before you even apply. Anyone is eligible to apply. You do not have to be a highest need neighborhood to apply, but just a heads up that will determine a priority ranking whenever we are reviewing applications. So I did want to stop sharing my screen and I will pull up the map quickly to do a quick demonstration of what the website map looks like. So I hope you're seeing here the home screen. It starts with a small description of what are play streets here. Click OK. And the map will show all of the city of Los Angeles broken into census block groups, which is a small geographic shape here that you can zoom into a little closer to get street names and landmarks like parks. So if you are able to find your neighborhood by using the map, that's great. And then you can simply click on the different census block groups. The pink here, the magenta, that is the highest need census block groups. So they will score highest. And when you click on one, it'll pull up a pop-up box here that shows which council district it is in, which neighborhood council district, and who your representative is. And then you will see your level of score here. Again, 50 points is the highest. If you click on other groups, you'll see that the scores can be lower or in the medium range. There's also an option to search here in the top right corner. You can search for an address. So if you were to type in a street address with the city, so make sure you type in Los Angeles here. So it pulls up local addresses. And when you click on the address in the dropdown, it'll zoom to that specific geography and you'll be able to then zoom in and confirm that you are indeed looking at the right street. So for instance, if we wanted to hold a play street on Worden Place here, you can see that it is in a high scoring census block group. You can click on it to confirm the details. And if you have any questions about the map, you can contact us and we can walk through that together. So I will pull the presentation back up here. And someone please chat me if it is not showing the correct screen. I hope I am back on the map. Okay, so the next section, once you determine that you indeed score well, or you get your score, you can proceed with filling out the application. We start here with just choosing your language of choice. So you can do the application in English or in Spanish, and all the questions are translated. You then will be asked to fill in your name, and that person should be the point of contact moving forward throughout the application process. You will also provide your email address and a phone number so we can reach you. And these questions are required before you can proceed. Next, we ask these optional questions about group affiliations or groups you might be involved with. This can be a local nonprofit or organization, your neighborhood council, a block group, or a group of residents on a street that is informal. It could also be part of a business improvement district or a commercial district. You could also check that you do not have an affiliated group, and that is totally fine. There is no requirement to be part of a group. But if you are, we would appreciate listing the names here. Next, we ask about potential partner organizations. So if you do already have potential partners or folks you have identified to work with, you can list them here. But again, this is not required. And if you have questions about potential partners, we are available to help you make those connections in your neighborhood. And then partners will provide multiple benefits, and we will go over some of those a little later in the slideshow here. So next we will ask about location. So these are required questions, but you do not have to have a specific address at the moment. This is something where you might want to call or email us for advice, and we are happy to have a one-on-one conversation about what makes a good Place Street candidate. So whenever you're filling out this question, if you need to take a pause, please call or email me at the ryanjohnson@altigo.com or my phone number there. You can also just put a general location, like if you know a certain neighborhood, or you just want to say near a park or near a particular school. That is acceptable for now, and then at a later phase we could narrow that down and help you figure out a specific block. Finally, we have this final question about additional ideas, and this could be anything you want to add that would make your application stand out or give us more context. For instance, if you have a general time of the year or a particular holiday around which you want to do your event, you could list that. If you have any ideas for programming or anything like you want to work with an arts organization or particular group, you can list that here as well. Okay, so next we wanted to share some of the resources and services that we will provide as a consultant team and as far as the city goes. So the first thing I want to discuss are the materials that will be provided, and this is what we call the box of play, or the BOP. You can see in the back of this picture there's a trailer here that we use to carry all the materials to the events. That's something that we provide, is actually transporting this to your street and setting it up. So a few of the things you can see here are the play bins, which we roll around and have some of the materials in them. The wobbles are the curvy things here behind number 2. Those can be attached and detached and moved around by participants in any way they wish. We also have a lot of games and chalk and things, foam blocks that kids like to play with. And then we'll bring furniture like umbrellas on hot sunny days and barricades to actually close the street. You can see a picture of the barricade with a sign there in the bottom right corner. Some of the other things we will provide to you if you are selected is preparing outreach materials in multiple languages, such as flyers and community notices. We'll help plan the event and any logistics related to that. We can also assist with coordinating volunteers, partners, business participation, equipment rentals, etc. And finally, as I mentioned before, we could help you coordinate with local art organizations, artists, or other organizations or departments at the city to program things that are relevant to your community. I wanted to share a couple of examples of flyers that we have created for past events. This was from our Watts event in November of last year. So one of the key things we do is notice residents on the street in advance that they will have to move their cars for the Play Street event. And so we created a flyer that we could put on the car windshields and then post to street poles along the block the days before, usually a few days prior. Some other resources that you will have available are community-based organizations, a little like we mentioned earlier, with partners that could help you with outreach and engaging with neighbors. We also may need to collect signatures for city permits to close the street to traffic. And so we could use support from community groups, getting those from neighbors. And with the city council office, you can expect to have some help identifying local programming ideas. They may also identify potential partners or sponsors. For instance, they may have relationships with vendors to provide temporary bathroom facilities, and tables and canopies and items of that nature. So we'll conclude there, and if anyone has questions, here is my contact information. My phone number and email is there, and I will be directly responding to you and setting up a time to have a conversation, or you can call me, and if you have any questions, we'll try to work those out as they come up. And I included the laplaystreets.com website here. And we look forward to receiving your applications.